software provider today. I worked for a very long time with a supply chain software provider, so I truly enjoy that position. So I'm going to be going back and forth between looking at the camera and looking a little away so that I can read from my computer monitor, which is, you can't see it on camera, but it's a little bit over all the way to the other side. So if it looks like I'm kind of swaying back and forth, that's the reason why. So let's look at the message for today. Use machine learning to augment performance, speed up planning, and accelerate supply chain decision making. We always judge the message on if we can find out if the message sounds like the audience feels heard, right? So if this message sounds like you're listening to the person's pain. And when we go back to the message, I'll put the message back on the screen, you can see that there isn't any mention of the person's pain necessarily. We talk about things like augmenting your performance, speeding up planning, accelerating supply chain decision making, but we do not mention your pain. Like, why would you need to speed up your planning? Why would you need to accelerate supply chain decision making? That's not very evident here. So obviously we have to say that when it comes to listening, this message is missing that. So the point goes to the robot. Mention the pain. You know, it's not enough to just mention the pain. You have to also describe the effects of the pain. Because when you describe the effects of the pain, it makes it sound like you understand the person's pain. So what we're going to do here is to see, does this message help us feel like the person's pain is understood? So we're going to go through the message one more time. So, I don't think so. You don't get a sense of empathy here because again, it's not describing the pain. It's not telling you what you might be going through on a day-to-day basis. So it's not, unfortunately, we don't have that empathize piece as well. So we're going to have to grade that and give that to the robot again. Oh, this is a really tough one because I was rooting for this one. I really wanted this to work. And I think we all have a sense of how we're going to do with Dream, right? Because this whole message is focused on the dream. Use machine learning to augment performance, speed up planning, and accelerate supply chain decision making. Yay! You know, it keeps you that sense of the dream and how awesome it's going to be, which is great. But you don't really know why I need this. Like, what am I going through on a day-to-day basis that makes me want this solution? So what it's missing is just that piece. The other piece about selling the dream exists. I would also like to mention that the message is a little bit technical. I know augmented performance is something that's mentioned a lot with machine learning because obviously we still need people, right? So we can't just have AI automating everything to the extent where you don't need people. So augmented performance is important. But we want to make sure it's easy for people to understand. At the end of the day, you have to think about it this way. Like when you have this message up on your website, up in your brochure, wherever you decide to have it, you're not there to explain things. So you have to make the assumption that the person does not understand what you're saying unless it's easy to understand. So we're going to try in our next slide to humanize it a little bit. So how would we humanize this? How would we humanize this message? In trying to humanize the message, you have to think about different things, right? So we talked about the listen, empathize, and dream, having those three elements, which is our humanized marketing message elements that you have to have. But you also have to have the general storytelling elements So if you happen to look at the blog, I'll have that inscription in the blog. But basically, it's just a simple statement, which is, if you don't tell me why, I won't care how, and I certainly will not want to do what you want me to do. So if you don't tell me is who, why is obviously why, I won't care how is how, and I won't want to do what you want me to do. So it's just a simple statement that helps me remember. I came up with this when I was first new to marketing, and it was just so difficult to remember every single piece. So I understand how sometimes our marketing messages might be missing all the different storytelling elements, because it's not always very easy to remember. How we would go about changing up the message, and we've looked at the storytelling elements. This message is super technical. As you know, I speak technical. That's my fun place. I love translating technical messages into simple messages. For some reason, it just kind of connects, and I'm just right up with the techies. Okay, so in coming up with this message, I had to go through a long process, by the way, guys. This stuff does not just happen. I'm gonna show you. So I'm a little bit old school, so I have to write things out sometimes. Like sometimes I try typing, and then I get to this point where it's like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, so I gotta take out the pen and paper and put it on pen and paper, and then I come up with my messages usually. So if you can see here, and I don't know, it's not gonna be very visible on the camera, but I had the first version, the second version, the third version, and I was canceling things out and feeling like, no, this doesn't sound good. I'm missing who, I'm missing why. I'm not talking about the pain. I am not really listening. I'm not really empathizing. I am not selling the dream well. I went through this whole process, as you can see. So if you don't get it right the first time, it's okay. Like, it's not, just because I'm in marketing doesn't mean that I just see a message and then just like that, magic, it just poof, I make it into something else. That's not really how it works. We all struggle, we all have writer's block from time to time. Okay, so let's go back to trying to humanize this message. And again, I'm gonna be looking a little bit away from the camera so I can read. So speed up supply chain planning processes and avoid delays with machine learning. Go from planning to decision making in no time. So this is my version that I came up with. When I come up with these versions, I'm not necessarily trying to say that my version is better or another version couldn't be better. For me, it's just about the message having the elements, right? So it has to have that storytelling element, and it also has to have listen, empathize, and dream. So that's it for this episode, and next time we're gonna try to look at another software company or IT services company message. Feel free to send your messages to me. All you have to do is just send a message to hello@brisquemarketing.com and just put in the subject line human versus robot so that it doesn't get lost in my email somehow. And I would love to have the day where I can say, human one, and do my human/robot dance, Just feel free to connect with me. Always happy to help you with your marketing strategies, marketing plans, and of course, helping you humanize your marketing messages and your company as a whole. So till next time, don't forget, what do we always say? Sound like a human, connect like a human, and sell like a human. Take care.